hundreds of lodges and PGLs themselves. To be able to administer that as a secretariat office was very difficult. All those letters to go out, all the communications, and to pull them all together and to making sure that the messages got down to them. The PGLs were spam break, so the messages would then go down to these bodies that had maybe 6, 7, 8 lodges underneath them to then pass on the messages in that fashion. Their responsibility were spam breakers.
So is it a bit of a relief for you that we're now sort of under our own banner, under the Grand Lodge of Cyprus?
I presume that it'd be a lot easier now that we're technically on our own, even though we do still communicate and have very good relations with our brothers from the UK.
Yes, it is much easier because, as a point I made about the spam breakers, it's about communication. And if you don't communicate with your membership, then they're going to be wondering what's going on. We don't have that problem in Cyprus because we have so many different means of communication. Mm-hmm. Most importantly, of course, in the lodges themselves. But over the top of that is the Grand Lodge, who makes sure and follows processes to make sure that the communication does get through.
Now, as a matter of interest, why did it take you so long to be convinced to come and join?
Because I was busy. I was working, same as other people. It was really not seeing that I had time to also devote to another organisation. Unfortunately, one of my failures in life is not just to attend. I like to get involved, and I end up like my first aim is to take over. But that's and that's eventually what I did.
Did not expect to hear that from you, Gary.
It just took a bit of time. So I knew that if I was going to commit 100% to something, I would need the time to do it, and I needed convincing that I wouldn't need that time. It was only once a week for a couple of hours on a Tuesday. Yeah. I was told, and it developed from there.
I was told that, to be fair.
Were you told just one night a week? Yeah. Again, but it's the kind of order that you don't have to get involved in everything, but you can get involved in what you feel comfortable with. It's almost like the people in charge try and find your niche.
I think it's like Brother Gary just said. It's if you're that type of person that wants to get involved, once you start understanding what's going on and start enjoying it, you can't help yourself but get involved.
And I think part of the skill of the management team of the Grand Lodge is to find these brothers that join and show a little bit of interest in getting further and moving on. I think in the past that's not happened, but I assure you that in the Grand Lodge of Cyprus, if someone does stick their head above the corn, then we will be grabbing them.
Yes, we have Le Chef, actually. You're sort of chief cook and bottle washer as well, Gary.
Not so much now. I used to be, but now we have some very, very good brothers that like to get involved and are skilled at what they do. Hence why the quality of our events, food-wise, are pretty damn good now.
We had a fantastic event on just Sunday past, double raising, where you were very busy because you're sort of following through on your Grand Lodge needs and cooking and being photographer.
Yep.
Other than that, you weren't doing much, really.
No, but that made it enjoyable. Tiring, I must admit, a bit tuckered out by the end of the day. But it was an enjoyable time. And I wasn't the only one. There was plenty of others doing the same. So that helps out.
Definitely a very good day. But like you said, it was by the time you get to the end of it and simmer down, it was tiring. Monday morning, I felt like a ton of bricks, to be honest with you.
Now, do you feel a little bit like a proud father when you see events like that, knowing that to a large degree it is down to your planning and a fair amount of it is, don't pull faces. You see he's pulling faces. A fair amount of it's down to your planning. And even the Grand Lodge of Cyprus is down to a lot of work by yourself and various other people. Do you feel like a proud parent when you have events like that and you have the GLE come over here and you're able to show off what your new child?
Yes, of course I'm very proud. As are the other founder members of the Grand Lodge of Cyprus, as are everybody that gets involved with the events. There's nothing better than to sit in the next lodge and listen to the praise from the brothers that just attended, for example. The brothers that couldn't. Some brothers can't help in certain things because of age, because of abilities, but their appreciation is so obvious. Also, being very close to the Facebook offering we have, the feedback from the guests who attend, the non-buffs, is also very favourable. That makes you proud. Going back to what you asked about the Grand Lodge of Cyprus, yes, that is a big achievement, I believe, because when we contrived the idea of breaking away from Grand Lodge of England and making our own banner and becoming the Grand Lodge of Cyprus, there were many that said, no, it can't be done. In fact, the team have put together an organisation that is indeed as good as the Grand Lodge of England, just not the same size.
Yeah, I think that's sort of helps in the success of the Grand Lodge of Cyprus, actually. It's not too big.
But it doesn't mean we won't get bigger. And we're ready for it. We have processes in place. We will be able to invent the wheel from the start, knowing it was going to go on a cart.
Yeah.
So we was able to make sure that we could expand, make sure that the database was fit for purpose to expand. The only thing we're really short of is brothers to administer that and to move on. And we seriously must look at succession planning and find the next Grand Secretary, the next Grand Primos, the next younger brothers who are going to carry on the good work.
Do you think it takes a special kind of person to be a Grand Secretary?
No.
I disagree with that.
I would actually disagree with it as well.
I will say it just needs the ability to plan and see forward and think forward rather than just for today. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that can get you into trouble, but because you start moving too fast. But I'm always looking for the next thing, even though I've got other things to deal with, because I don't want to fall foul of it. And I want it to be a success forever. I want it to be a legacy.
Yeah. Now, you talk about things moving forward, and we are quite a forward-thinking island, and we have a new banking system as well. That seems to have worked really well. Are you happy with the outcome of that?
Yes, future banking. Now, that was one of the things we didn't look forward to quickly to, but we thought that relationships with the bank would be quite straightforward. But what with money laundering procedures, the fact that they saw a bunch of elderly gentlemen as potential money launderers doesn't help matters, because every time you go in the bank you can note from the screen that we're red flagged as being potentials, which is absolutely ridiculous. But there we go. Cyprus got burnt. Cyprus banks got burnt on money laundering before, so I suppose they need to take more care. But it became very, very difficult just to change the signature. It became difficult to give an instruction to pay away, and something needed to change. So we've invented our own banking system. We still run the major account with Grand Lodge of Cyprus with the bank in question, but the other lodges now, all their banking is done via the Grand Secretary and the officers.
It sort of narrows everything down as well. It makes it a lot easier for the minor lodges.
Well, I certainly hope it does, because incorporated in that was assisting the city secretaries, my equivalent in the lodge, who is required to understand spreadsheets, be able to produce accounts, be able to present those accounts, be able to understand budgets. They no longer need to do this. They need to have some understanding. They need to perhaps present it and have a grasp, because regardless of what you take away from the city secretary, which, by the way, I'll say is the most important job in the lodge, they need to understand what's being given to them. And I believe that's a supervising, coaching thing which will happen throughout 2025. But certainly we're coming to the end of the first quarter now. I think this will show what help it has been.
Now, you say the city secretary is one of the most important jobs in the lodge. Why is that?
Sorry if I said one of the most. It is the most important. The reason is because it's really the glue that holds the lodge together. The city secretary is in situ until he no longer wants to be. So it's not something that's voted on every month. It's not something that someone can just walk away from. They really do have an investment into that role. How well they do it is really what helps the lodge move forward. The secretary needs to understand rules, needs to understand how those rules are applied, and is the first port of call for any brother who wants a question answered.
I'm glad you let me into that little secret. I'll start studying up now.
I was going to say, we've got 2 new secretaries at the moment.
Yeah.
A few weeks in, I think, aren't we? A few weeks? A month?
A few months, yeah.
There you go, yeah.
A couple of months. I've managed to survive so far.
Doing well, you're doing very well.
Well, one recommendation I'll give to you, Brother Paul, as a new secretary, is that the first thing you really need to do is organise your exit plan, because you won't want to do it forever, I'm sure. So you need to be grooming and having prepared your replacement. And this is something that's never been done before. We always thought that the next secretary would just wander in, but it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So that's something that's on the plans for the future, is coaching and training and preparing the next secretaries. Because, as I've said, I firmly believe they are the most important brother in the lodge.
So definitely prepare an exit plan.
Yes.
Now, Gary, what does being a buff mean to you?
It means that I have, well, two things. Let's have a look at it on the role of the Grand Secretary.
Yeah.
What it gives to me there is the pleasure of seeing things go well, the challenge of things that don't go quite so well, the development of others, and being able to use my planning skills to drive things through, and implementation skills to get them done. So that's like business-like side of it.
Mm-hmm.
I would not probably enjoy Buff so much if I wasn't involved as heavily as I am. Looking at the as a member side, being a member of an organisation that's fraternal, the opportunity to meet with some good guys every week in a couple of lodges, to be able to share successes and see them develop, see them have successes, raise money for good causes. Everything is that side of it appeals to me, and I enjoy it.
Now, there's a big visit to our holiday of a lifetime coming up soon. You're quite excited about that as well.
I am, especially as my grandson's involved, who is autistic, and these children we're bringing over from a special autistic school. He is not part of the holiday; he's staying with us. Just thought that would be the better way of doing it. They will go out on the trips with his mum, who's very much helping with the organisation in England for us now. But yeah, very excited about it. It's been 5 years since we've had a group of children over due to COVID and various other red tape issues we've had with local councils and local authorities in securing the children. But this one's gone very, very smoothly. Very excited. We've got a lovely hotel. Flights are a reasonable time. And I know that the brothers of this banner will look after them when they're here. We've got some great trips planned, including a fantastic day of fun at the lodge where they'll meet the brothers and the guests, our supporters who have helped raise the money for us to do this holiday.
It's obviously quite important for them to be able to see the kids come out here and enjoying themselves and enjoying this beautiful island. Bearing in mind we have some very, very fervent supporters of Holiday of a Lifetime.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, it'd be great for them to see these young kids having a holiday of a lifetime, and not only them, their carers, stroke parents, who in most cases have never been abroad, never dreamed they would go abroad. They live in Margate, and as I did once for a couple of years, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone, to be honest with you. But they're now going to get the opportunity to go to another country and have a nice holiday.
Now, you've spoken so fondly of living in Margate. What drew you to this island? I mean, how did you end up here?
We wanted to get out of Margate.
No, actually, no. Margate was only a short period of time, and we were actually living in West Sussex, in Crawley, but we always had this dream of moving to another country. We weren't sure which one. I had one holiday in Cyprus, and within 3 months I'd purchased a villa.
Oh, really?
So that's how quick it was. So I didn't give it a lot of thought.
Which seems unlike you. It seems very unlike you.
Yeah, I had to then find out how implementation was, how to pay for it, but we managed.
And if someone there is sitting there thinking, well, is this Buff's lark? Why should I join?
You should join the Buffs if you have the time, if you have the desire to meet with some like-minded people who are once a week to have a drink, to engage in fundraising exercises, to be able to develop yourself, move through the ranks if you wish. It's there for you. It's great. It's a bunch of good friends and friends for life, who are there to support each other as a fraternity.
That's one of the nicest things about it, I think, even just for the meetings themselves. I mean, I've said it before, even if people haven't got the time to put in the efforts that a lot of the other brothers do. Nothing stopping you from coming once a week, having a bit of fun, and just doing that, really. If you can't donate any more time, then that's okay too. Don't have to go too far into it. Once a week is fine.
Although you will hopefully be encouraged by your city secretary
Hopefully, yes.
to move on, because we do need to have succession planning.
What you're saying is we'll get you one way or another.
Yeah.
Start with a day a week, and then we'll catch it.
If you can't cook, you'll be washing up.
Yes, being groomed in a very pleasant way,
Yes,
not the nasty way.
Definitely pleasant.
We'll avoid that.
Encouraged and coached and supervised.
It's also an opportunity to join probably one of the biggest families on the island.
Oh yes, definitely. I do see it very much as a family, and it's not just the members. There's also then the people we interact with, the guests that come to our events. Very, very supportive of what we're doing, and it's a pleasure to see them.
We definitely couldn't do it without the supporters and the guests. And I mean, being a part of all these events, especially the past year, I think things are getting a lot better. The guests are a lot happier. We used to chase people down to buy tickets. Now they're literally knocking on our doorstep, asking for future events, what's coming up, tickets. So it does show that all the hard work pays off. And a big thank you to all the guests. Like I said, we could not do it without them.
I think as well, we've launched Facebook a couple of years ago, our own page. That's helped. I know that now that the shy buffs are now talking to their friends and neighbours, not only just to recruit, but to involve them with our events. We have this podcast, which I'm sure will encourage more and more recruits, and we've got a web page, which is probably less effective, but there for the brothers when they need it for advice and various other things that can get available on there.
It's something that sort of struck me. We've got it a lot easier than Buff's sort of 40 years previous had it, because of our different methods of technology and communication. Obviously, communication is one of the most important things for the club.
Yeah, very important. Without the communication, who knows what's going on, and who is there a route in that communication to feedback and everything else? You need that in any sort of organisation. Otherwise, you're blindly wandering around, wondering if you're doing a good job or not.
Yeah,
communication's key, and we have so many methods of communication. I'm sure it drives the brothers mad, because they'll get every message off me 5 times in the space of a very short period of time, and it will continue to be there because we store those communications on Facebook, we store them on our website, and the city secretaries regurgitate them again on the following meeting. So I think the message sometimes could be overdone, but I don't believe a message is ever overdone, and you need to give the message to it's been got.
Very little excuse to say, well, I didn't know.
That's for sure.
Well, we don't hear often, to be honest with you.
It is something that someone will very rarely say to me and not expect an answer.
Or a slap.
So, Gary, tell us a bit about the, like Paul said, we had the events on Sunday. What kind of difference have you seen in the events in the past few years?
As far as the events go, we've always run successful events. The difference now is that I believe we got far better buy-in from the buffs themselves in supporting it by selling tickets, supporting it by attending, and supporting it by getting their friends to come to it as well. Also, we have a membership that want to get involved, so we have more help cooking, we got more help purchasing, more help clearing up. And what was a breath of fresh air on Sunday was to seeing buffs and non-buffs removing canopies and putting the chairs away. At the right end of the day, it was actually getting dark. Whereas before, we'd find that we had a lot of all the guests and all the buffs that turned up to just be in the event had gone, and there was just 2 or 3 of us left to clear up. So that certainly shows a bit more buy-in to the whole ethos of what we're doing it for. So that's definitely an improvement from previous years. As far as events are concerned, we did a lot more indoor type events in the past. We've done things like school dinners where we got the guests to dress up as pupils, and we served them lumpy mashed potatoes, runny custard. It was done on purpose because we wanted to recreate the school dinners we used to get in the 70s and 80s. Shepherd's pie. Beef sausages, egg and cheese pies, and
bread and butter pudding.
But everything came with greens. It was a very successful event. One event that we continued year after year is the medieval banquet. That's another inside event that has been very popular in the past, and we always sell out. We've done American Diner, little things like this, Vickers and Tarts. Yeah, so what we've now gone is a bit more on the barbecue side, which is very, very popular and probably slightly easier to execute because it's an outside cooking, and it's barbecuing rather than trying to find a way of cooking 25 chickens or 10 joints of beef. But we have achieved it, and with the team we've got now, we could achieve either of those now very successfully.
Plus, with numbers as well, it does open us up a little bit because the indoor events were obviously limited, like we said before, and especially being in Cyprus, where most of the year is nice weather, sunny, good temperatures. I think a lot of people do actually prefer to be outside the bigger do's now and stuff like that. But it doesn't mean that obviously we won't continue doing smaller ones here and there when we can, because again, like the medieval banquet, I was here last year as well, and it was a blast. Everyone loved it, and we've got one coming up next few weeks, I think. 19th, yeah.
It must be quite heartening to see events like that selling out and then ending up with a waiting list for tickets.
Yes, it is, because that really just shows the desire to be with us and to enjoy what we're presenting to them,
and the level of support as well.
Yeah.
Now, Gary, if we're having this podcast in sort of 5 years' time, what would you have hoped to have achieved in those 5 years?
First and foremost, my exit plan. Seriously, no, to have a structure that meant that when I do decide to become just a member again, there's someone that's capable to step in and run the order as it should be. It will be recruitment, that we have the numbers. In 5 years, I think we should double where we are. We've got 152 now, so 300 on this small island would certainly be a target that I got set in my head that I'd like to achieve. What we have set up and what we've continued to run is a legacy to the Royal Antediluvian Order of Buffaloes, to the fact that Cyprus becomes a model for any banner in the world. It's almost there now. Just feedback over the weekend from delegates here from Grand Lodge of England were saying, well, we don't do it as good as that. I wish we do things like you do in England. All right, take away the limitations of time, of space, because of the number of members they've got. It's what you do, not how many you do it to. And there is a few things that can be changed to help them out. And they can see it here. We're lucky, we're fortunate, we're starting from a different stage to those. The Royal Antediluvian Order of Buffaloes is 200 years old. There's going to be some things that stick and can't be changed.
Yeah.
They can be. It's just the way you do it.
Yeah, we still stick with our traditions, as we said before, but evolving, moving forward, certain things need to.
Yeah, most of them.
We've also got the added advantage, not just of sort of geographical location between the lodges, but also the fact that we aren't dealing with 20-odd provincial grand lodges as well. Right. I mean, there's a danger in becoming too big, isn't there?
There is, as with anything. You just lose the control. The PGL is the Grand Lodge of England is only going to be as good as its PGLs or its provincial Grand Lodges. If that provincial Grand Lodge is broken, then the 6-7 lodges underneath it will also be broken. As I said to you, the most important in a lodge is the city secretary. The most important in a provincial Grand Lodge will be the provincial Grand Secretary. If that breaks down the communication side of it, the feedback from the lodges back up, who knows what's going on? And that is the problem with being too big. We have ways to deal with that here already in mind. There's no reason why we would not continue our communication in the same fashion. Direct from Grand Lodge to each member with a instruction to the PGLs to re-emphasise, regurgitate the message that's sent and feedback. One of the problems with Grand Lodge of England, if a member in the lodge has a question or wants something dealt with, he has to go to his lodge to ask them to do it. The city secretary will then go up to his provincial Grand Lodge and present to it what this member wanted, who then puts it up. If he can't deal with it, puts it up to the Grand Lodge. Waters it all down. In Cyprus, if a member's got a problem, they can phone the secretary, the Grand Secretary, they can contact the Grand Primo, they can speak to anybody directly. Nothing is stopping them doing that.
So that's almost like having filters in the way.
Yeah. There's nothing filtering the message. You're looking in the eye. You can look in the eye, ask the question, and get the response.
And of course, the Grand Lodge meetings are open to members as well. So, yeah.
Open to all qualified members to be able to vote and deal with our rules, to deal with the business. But it's open to any member to come along. We call it a first degree lodge, which means that any member of our organisation can come along and contribute. You need the Grand Primer's permission in accordance with rule, but we don't worry about that. If someone has got something to ask, something to say, we allow them to say it.
So that's an inclusivity type of thing.
I hope
using common.
I hope that's how it's seen.
It's good though, because I remember my first Grand Lodge meeting. I don't think I was a member for that long, to be honest. But it did help me realise a lot more about behind the scenes, what's going on, and especially to realise that everything, like you said before, is in black and white in front of you, and you have got the right to ask questions. You're treated exactly the same as a brother that's been there for 40 years, for instance. So it's definitely a very good thing that we do that.
It also helps the matter of a lot of people sort of view committees and things like that as a bunch of people who work in the darkness and keep everyone else in the dark until they need to know what they need to know. Whereas having a Grand Lodge like we do, a first degree brother who's just joined can come and sit down and find out all about the financials, because the Grand Secretary will be standing up at some stage discussing them.
Yeah.
So it is very transparent, I think, is probably the best way.
Transparency is so important in our sort of organ. Why should we have secrets? Why should things be done behind closed doors? Because at the end of the day, every penny that we are looking after, ministering, using, saving, is the members' money, technically. It's money they've raised, money they've contributed. Why shouldn't they have complete transparency? We actually take the only Grand Lodge, I believe, that takes questions at a meeting during a presentation from a financial officer, because they don't want to be asked an awkward question. Well, there's nothing awkward you can ask our financial officers.
It's all there.
It's there. Even on the website, the accounts are all printed up there. The minutes of the Grand Lodge meeting are there. It's all there for public scrutiny and for member scrutiny at any time.
Yeah.
That's always one of the things I say to people talking about the Barpston Lodge, the people that are members, because obviously there's a lot of charitable organisations out there, there's a lot of charities out there, and we all know that sometimes maybe things don't go exactly where they're supposed to. One of my arguments speaking to anyone is, and one of the reasons I love this, because every single penny is accounted for and goes where it should go. And they go, well, how do you know that? Because at any given time, as a member, whether I'm first degree or fourth, I have the right to ask that question, and it will be given to me in black and white. Yeah. So it's all, like you said, transparency, so important.
And generally immediate response, not 7 days. We have 7 days to answer your question or to cover up what we've done with it. It is an immediate thing because we have total transparency.
Excellent. Well, please, if you are listening to this, please hit the subscribe button. There's a big button there that says subscribe on YouTube, and we'll keep you notified of all the various episodes that are coming out. We're going to
comments underneath as well.
Yeah, you can
comments.
Please, you're more than welcome to leave comments. You're also more than welcome to visit us on our Facebook page, which is Gary.
RAOB/Cyprus.org.
There you go. That's our website. We've got Facebook, and you can contact us via the YouTube channel as well if you have any questions about the organisation or the fraternity. You're more than welcome to ask us. In the meantime, have a wonderful month. Keep your eyes glued to Facebook, because there are all sorts of functions coming up, and we'd love you to attend those. You can come along and see what we're like here.
Yeah, look forward to meeting you all our new guests.
Thank you very much, Gary, for joining us today, and thank you for everyone listening, and we'll be back soon, hopefully.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.